Here we are back again at the West Virginia Grown Program. It's a premier state branding program. It's just a way to highlight that you are selling a locally grown product. We recently released our West Virginia Grown Directory, I think just within the last couple weeks. Really awesome tool. It's available, I believe, on our website, and also get it through our business planning coordinators, and I'll talk about them in just a second. But it's another great way to find people around you if you're looking for locally grown products. Our Veterans and Heroes to Agriculture program, so that's actually the program that I coordinate, and our goal is to offer support for veterans and first responders around the state, and we do that through providing educational and scholarship resources, and we work with partner agencies to help offer that support, and we work one-on-one with veterans and first responders to be able to help them find the support they need while they're getting their businesses started or growing or whatever. All right, and the planning coordinators I mentioned earlier, that's somebody you can reach out to about West Virginia Grown and to find West Virginia Grown producers in your area. They're embedded around the state. We've got 4 actual planning coordinators. So Kacey Gantzer, she's on the call here. She's up in the northern panhandle, and then we've got Lacey Davidson covering the southwestern part of the state, Mason down to McDowell County. Ashley Amos, she covers the more southeastern, south central portion of the state, and then we've got Nathan Bergdoll out in the eastern panhandle. And then I'm here kind of, floating a little bit. I'm mainly working with the Veterans and Heroes side, but I'm here to help fill in gaps where I can and support the team there. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and back out and hand it off to Kacey for a second. She's going to play her video because I'm having some internet issues.
First trees I planted were not on this farm. They were where I grew up, out on the Pisgah Road on a steep hillside behind our house, and I planted trees in that in 1946. And then the first trees I planted on this farm were in the spring of 1965. There were a couple of people that were involved. One of them was Dr. Hale, and I started working for him, I guess about 1946 or 7. And his family had planted trees in 1939 for Christmas trees, all spruce trees. And I started working on their place and then a place that he was developing in the late 1940s when I was in high school. I bought this farm in 1965 and started planting trees on it almost immediately. Most of the trees that we're growing now are either spruce or Canadian fir, and then another spruce that I've become excited about in recent years is called Meyer spruce. There's some trees that we do not plant anymore because of disease problems on them. One of them is Scotch pines, Serbian spruce, and also blue spruce. And those are out of our planting now. We just do not plant any more of those. Well, I think first of all it provides an opportunity to create family traditions and to create memories of going out to a farm, cutting your own Christmas tree.
It's all about the experience, and you guys really do it for us up here. Just it's a family feel.
It feels like family when we come.
It's comfortable, and we look forward to it just as much as we do Christmas morning. This kicks off the holidays here, so we appreciate everything you guys do, and we'll be back again next year.
It also provides an opportunity for first employment for young people. And certainly in my family, that's been a major reason for growing Christmas trees, is the opportunities for employment. It also is good for the environment. We're told that an acre of young trees will produce enough oxygen each year for some 14 people or so. So you can imagine a 50-acre tree farm, how much oxygen is produced, how much carbon dioxide is taken out of the air and through the trees stored back into the soil where it doesn't cause global warming. It brings money into the community through the economic activity. We get customers coming in here anywhere from Michigan to Florida. And of course that leaves money here in this community. Most of it would be spent here, not all, but most.
Okay, great. I'm going to pull the PowerPoint back up here and we'll get Dave started here.
Okay, can you all hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you good. Sorry, trying to get the slides to catch up there. Okay, I got you, I think.
That's fine. We'll make sure you're not getting any feedback or anything before I start rolling.
Yep, I got you. Yeah, sound is good on my end.
Okay, well, good deal. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Dave Stevens. My wife, Tammy's here. We're actually out in a tree field right now because this is the one place on the farm where we get decent cell signal. So hopefully we'll be able to get through this and have pretty good signal and you'll be able to hear me okay. Feel free to stop or, interrupt questions or whatever at any point. I would welcome that. My first involvement with the Bluestone Nursery was back in 1982. I had married Gene Bailey's youngest daughter, Sarah, and so just kind of jumped right in then to helping some on the farm. And the first time that I remember pretty well was Christmas season of 82, and we were digging, I think it was Scotch pine and some blue spruce, and then we were cutting trees. This was mostly all wholesale back then. But another thing about Gene that you were able to see him on the video a while ago, Gene was, at that time, he was teaching school full time. He was mayor of Princeton, and then he was also doing Christmas trees. So he was very busy, but was just quite a leader in the Christmas tree industry in West Virginia for sure, and even in some aspects he was involved on a national level as well. So anyhow, I kind of came along with Gene and his children, Steve and Sonia and Sabrina and Sarah, and they had all worked the farm as children and then continued off and on as adults to help during the tree season. In those years, it was mostly wholesale. There were a lot more tree lots in the Princeton area at that time. And I'm making a guess on this without knowing for sure from Gene's records, but I think he was probably wholesaling between 1,000 and 1,500 trees in the Princeton area, mostly white pine and Scotch pine. And he would, he and whoever, me and some of the other guys that worked for him, we'd all come out to the farm, cut, drag those trees to an area where we would bale them with an old manual baler that we had, and throw them on the back of the pickup truck and drive them into town to the different lots. We'd do sometimes 2 or 3 loads a day, and most of the time we were finishing up at up 8 or 9 o'clock in the evenings. And even remember a time or two when we would be out here cutting trees by with headlights from the truck, and then hauling them into town later that night. So that continued through the 80s. Then in the 90s, we had a transition more to Canaan fir. There was not as much of a demand for the white pines and Scotch pines, and folks were learning about Canaan fir, Fraser fir, and the demand switched. It seemed like to me fairly quickly, and so everybody tried to start transitioning to the Canaans, at least for us. We're at an elevation of about 2,600 feet. We can do some Fraser, but we're not quite high enough to grow Frasers very well. So Canaan fir has worked best for our property here. Tammy's family, Tammy was in the Lilly family. Her husband Mark and his family, they had a big farm above us on what's called the bluff, up above Camp Creek, and they were at an elevation to be able to grow Frasers. Now they have since, I guess you would say, pretty much sold out of all of those, and are now replanting. So they're doing the Fraser firs again on up above us. Let's see. So from that point, the transitioning to the Canaan firs, that was all through the 1990s. And at the same time, we were kind of transitioning from wholesale to more of a choose and cut operation. That was partly because of some illness in the family. Gene's wife, Betty, had been ill. And then actually back in 2001, I believe. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyhow, 2001, Gene had an accident. And so our family kind of stepped in a whole lot at that point. And I think that's where my son, had his first, most of the time that he was learning to work out on the farm and see what this was all about. So, Luke, would you want to speak to any of that?
Sure, I'll try. Hey, everybody, I'm Luke Stevens, and I think I was among my siblings later to start into it. I was probably 13 years old before I got out in the tree fields, and 11 or 12 was the typical age, and worked on the farm there in Camp Creek, and grew up there from the time that I was about 12, 13 until I started into college, and was learning more than I knew that I was learning. Early on, didn't really appreciate much of the work that was being handed to me, but I had no idea about agriculture in general. Didn't know much about Christmas trees, but was spending afternoons there in the fields. My siblings and I were all homeschooled by my mom, and so we were able to work the farm as a part of that schedule. And wasn't until probably high school that I began appreciating the value of what was on the farm, and from the learning experience in the field of what it takes to grow a Christmas tree, to the experience of being there with customers, with friends who were coming up to buy their first Christmas tree, or they're coming up for the 10th year in a row to buy a tree. There were several milestones of appreciation. One was coming back from college to work the first Christmas tree season after starting college, and realizing how much I had missed, being outside and that kind of work. And then when my wife and I first went into the fields as customers instead of working, and had the full experience, that was just a wonderful time for us, to see through the eyes of making the memories and setting family traditions together. I grew up around the Christmas Tree Growers Association. Our Vice President Landin is on the call, and I'll let him speak to the association later on in the presentation. But that was the network of people there was my first introduction into a lot of the conservation agencies and conservation efforts and agriculture efforts within West Virginia. That was my introduction to conservation camp and forestry camp, and kind of set me on the track career-wise that I am on now. So a lot of appreciation for not just our farm, but for Christmas tree farming around the state.
That's great. Yeah, thank you both, Dave and Luke there. See, I've got, do you all want to go ahead and run through the slides here? You just give me a heads up whenever you want me to change there.
That's fine. Dane, Luke will be better about guiding you on the slides. I don't have a whole lot more. I'm just going to touch on a few points, and anybody that wants to chime in along the way is fine. Just to, again, noting the transition for us from back years ago when Gene was doing mostly wholesale. It's been quite a shift for us to now go to mostly choose and cut, and that's where I think in a way the intensity of the labor has changed. We can now at least sort of keep the hard part of the day limited from about 9 o'clock till about 5 or 5:30, because when it's dark, we shut down for the day. But we, as I said, we're mostly choose and cut now. We open officially on Thanksgiving Day, but for the past several years, we've had more people coming even a little before Thanksgiving to get trees. We don't encourage that, but we try to educate folks in terms of telling them how they really need to be careful taking care of a tree that's cut that early. But anyhow, it seems that most of our customers are doing well that way, and then we have a really big turnout then starting Thanksgiving week, and the day after Thanksgiving is usually one of the biggest days of the year or of the season for us, and I think it was this year. We had a record day this year of, I believe, 126 trees cut. So that was pretty busy, and we're probably at least a week ahead of what we normally are. I think this season, some folks have suggested that that's because of COVID and more folks being interested in being able to be outside and do activities together with their family. But anyhow, we're probably 80 to 90% choose and cut. Those are mostly, again, probably 90% Canaan fir, and the other 10% or so would be a mixture of Norway spruce and some of the blue spruce that we have left. As Gene mentioned in his video clip, we've had a lot more trouble with Scotch pine, blue spruce. Landin or Luke or somebody may want to speak to some of the problems with the diseases and other things that affect certain species. But we're pretty fortunate that the fir and Norway spruce have been a good product for us. We also this year have done a few dug trees, and we prefer Norway spruce for digging. Those as ball and burlap trees, and we limit that to about a 6-foot tree, something that we can handle on our own. We do it all by hand without any equipment, so we've got to sort of limit the size that we can dig, and try to have some of those available for some folks who want a ball and burlap tree in their home, and then place that in their yard or wherever after Christmas. Just to emphasize again, this is mostly all family that do all the work. We have one neighbor boy who works with us some. He's the only one technically on the payroll right now. Everybody else, Luke and his family and all of his siblings and their spouses are involved in some way. And then Gene's daughter Sabrina is here every weekend waiting on customers. I guess the rest of the year, Luke, I don't know if you all want to look at planting and shearing and that kind of thing as far as the slides, but I'll kind of wrap up there. We're starting in May and June. We're mowing, and then we begin shearing in June, and that keeps us busy all the way up into October, and usually even in November I'm still out trying to finish shearing trees. I got just about every tree done this year. Tammy, well, how we do it is I go through and mow through the rows, and our helper, he cuts weeds in between the trees, so we have a pretty good pathway to go through. And then Tammy goes along, and she's doing all of the shearing, and I come back to hit the ones that she's not able to reach. And of course we have some bigger trees, I'm going to say 12 footers or so, and we have to use some long handle pruners for those. As far as the future, we're going to need to plant probably 1,000 trees this year. Hopeful that we will be able to do that, and then 1,000 per year probably from now on, to maintain what our current demand is, which is probably an average of around 800 trees per year. So what we're just trying to continue to do is to manage the quality of our product and kind of balancing that with supply and demand. So I'm good. I'm good at that point.
I downloaded Teams.
Yeah.
Are you on here?
Yeah, Dane, I can We can probably skip the pests. That's more general, and I'll let Landin Harper speak to those slides, or speak to any, the more general pest issues or diseases that Christmas tree growers are seeing. One neat thing that Dad was showing me this year from the farm is, I think it's around slide 4, the planting subject material, is that early on, probably when I was in late middle school or early high school, my granddad and I were looking at doing some replanting, and he had ordered seedlings from a supplier in Pennsylvania, and I know he's picked up trees in North Carolina for seed stock, but something that he showed me then was that there were some of the larger mature trees on the farm that he had grown that were producing seed from themselves, and we've got that happening this year on the farm. There's a couple of images, this slide here with you can see the mature trees on one side of the road, and then there's a shaded embankment where we've got a lot of moss growing just on the opposite side of that farm road. And it's hard to see them in these images, but there's seedlings popping up there just on their own. So he usually, we will, if we can take these trees, it looks like they're maturing and they're hardy enough to just be starting right there. So we'll probably be able to transplant what's started on its own into a transition bed or straight into the field. So that's exciting to see, some continuity of the seed stock, and being able to plant from trees that we've grown ourselves. And then we can skip on down just to the around slide, I think it's number 9, the selling Christmas trees. We've, again, our farm experience is this one way, but it's really been, this is kind of the thing that brings so much value for on the personal side of it, is my granddad Gene mentioned we have customers from all over the country coming back to the farm or coming to the farm for the first time, and getting to build those relationships. And it really is, Christmas tree selling is partly about selling trees, but it really is about providing an experience. And that's I think where people are finding that value. We put out a whole lot of different products along with the trees. Those are my dad mentioned the balled and burlap trees. If you could advance to the next slide there. We have a lot of folks still are looking for a tree that they can then replant in their yard, or in the spring. My granddad, you saw in that video clip, is still making wreaths, and those are always a really popular selling item. And then my dad and Tammy just this year put out these smaller potted trees, and I think the one pictured here is a dwarf Alberta spruce. But again, just a neat another neat thing for families to take home as part of the experience. We really don't, if you can take it to the next slide, we really don't have a lot of issues with advertising. At least that's been our experience. Word of mouth is probably will always be the strongest way of spreading the word. We're really fortunate to have relationships with customers who are excited about the experience. And we do have good relationships with the local media as well, and they're always excited to produce a story right around this time of year or right around Thanksgiving to promote Christmas trees and Christmas tree growing. We've experimented these past couple of years with social media involvement and put out a presence for the farm on Facebook, and that has been really beneficial for us. It's a chance for us to share the story with people were looking for information about would we still be open with COVID happening, what were if prices are changing, anything else unexpected, and we've been able to push out some information with that. And that's been like my dad said, a family effort and a group effort too. My wife has put a lot into the social media and our Facebook page, and that's been again just another place to kind of build those relationships and that connectivity. I'm with right there. I would like to give Landin Harper an opportunity to talk about, if you want to advance to the next slide, just to talk about the West Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association and his role and the benefits that we experience through being a part of that. Thanks.
Hey everybody, can you hear me?
Yep, I think we got you.
Okay. Hey everybody, my name is Landin Harper. I am the vice president of the West Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association. We have a farm down here in Lincoln County, West Virginia, called Wilkerson Christmas Tree Farm. Just to give you a little backstory, we started our farm. My grandpa started the farm in 1971, mainly as a wholesale farm. And throughout the years, we kind of converted over to 100% choose and cut. It is a family-run operation. My grandma and grandpa are still at it. My mom and dad, me, and now my wife and 2 little boys are loving it as well. So definitely a family-run farm, and we love every minute of it. It is a great thing to get into and to be a part of. So I'm here to just talk a little bit about the West Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association. The association, we started out in 1954 with 50 original members. They came together thinking that there needed to be a networking organization just to get all the growers together to really, like what Luke said, come together, share knowledge and experience, and help promote the real Christmas tree industry in the state. You know, back then in the late 50s, early 60s, plastic artificial trees were starting to come out, and they knew that was kind of going to be a real negative impact to the real Christmas tree sales. So they came together to kind of to network and to share tips and ideas. Membership peaked at around in the 1980s. We had about 155 farms back in the 80s. Now it's kind of declined over the years. Older growers are getting out. Not too many people are taking over, or they choose to grow something else besides Christmas trees. We now have roughly about 60 farms in the state. Most of the farms, they mainly offer choose and cut. We still have a few farms that do wholesaling and retail lots as well. Several that do retail lots. Most of the farms are in the northern and the eastern part of the state. There is a high demand right now for farms in the southern part and the western part of the state. We're kind of low in numbers down in this area, and most of our farms are in the northeast of the state. We normally, and this is pre-COVID, as everyone knows, we normally have 2 meetings per year. We have a winter meeting, which is kind of a formal sit down with a luncheon and speakers. What's great about the winter meetings is we have presenters from really every neck of the woods to come to talk to us, from the people who are hosting the West Virginia Department of Agriculture. They are great friends of the association and help us out a lot. We have different universities to come and speak as well, federal programs that they'll come in and speak, Division of Forestry. They come and offer things as like I said, federal programs that might be beneficial to our growers, pesticide returns, empty or old pesticides you can return. And then our other meeting is a summer meeting, and we try to have that every year at a Christmas tree growers farm. And that is a more hands-on meeting, just basically showing how that individual or that group and that farm runs their farm. Every tree grower is different. There's different ways to grow trees, sell trees, shape trees. So it's great to see how other people operate their farm, and that's kind of what the summer meeting is about. We also have a quarterly newsletter that Luke's grandpa puts out that has just stories and ideas and tips from growers as well as different officials in the state, whether it be the Commissioner of Agriculture has had a couple articles in it, Department of some officers in the Department of Agriculture have some articles as well. It is a very nice piece to have that gets out to all the growers in the association. Like I said in the beginning, the association, it's really just, it still is what the original members intended it to be. It's an association where we can network and get together, fellowship, share knowledge of our group. You see that picture there. There are hundreds, if not a thousand years of experience and knowledge in our group. I'm 31 years old. I've been doing this all my life, and I still learn something every meeting that we go to. My grandfather, he's 82. He still learns something every meeting we go to. It's great to have just a group with similar ideas and similar farms to just get together and talk and network. I'll say this a little bit, kind of extended out of the association. Growing Christmas trees, raising Christmas trees, buying Christmas trees, a live Christmas tree, in my opinion, has never been more popular. I think Dave and Luke can speak. The other growers in this chat can probably speak as well. Every year, it seems like, is a record year for us. More and more people are wanting to come out and cut down that live Christmas tree, not go to a box store, not have an artificial tree, really come out and experience a farm. This year, like Luke said, it was just unbelievable. And I think we're really chalking that up to the COVID. I think everyone wanted to come out and just have a little bit of normality in their life for a change. Come out, on a Christmas tree farm, you can social distance, you can get out and enjoy it with your family. But even before this year, having a Christmas tree farm is a really it's a really hot time to be raising Christmas trees, and it's all about that. I think Luke said it again, or Dave might have. It's all about the experience. People come out from all over, different counties, different states, different walks of life, and everyone comes out to enjoy the experience that we offer. We try to offer them, just a nice, relaxing environment that they can just come and have a great time. And people like that. In 2020, people are wanting more and more of that. And I don't see that changing in the future. I just see that getting more and more popular. People are steering away from artificial trees. People are steering away from the big box store trees that have been cut for a month prior to them getting that tree, and wanting to come out and cut that fresh tree, or come to our farms in the state to a retail lot where that tree had just been cut on that farm a couple days ago. People really want that more and more. And I think it's a great time to be growing Christmas trees. And I think if more people knew about that, I think there would be more Christmas tree farms popping up in the state. And I think that's about all that I had.
All right, sorry, I had to back out there. I'll go ahead and turn on video. Well, yeah, thank you, Landon, Dave, Luke. Really awesome. Well, I got you on here, Landon. What's the best way for folks to reach you or get involved with the Christmas tree growers?
Sure. Just like anything nowadays, we have a Facebook page, West Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association. You can join that. You can ask any questions you like. You can just give me a call personally. I'm 100% fine with that. It's my phone number is 304-543-5379. You can contact me. I can help you in any way. We can get you involved in the association. If someone is interested in growing Christmas trees, we have all the information you probably ever need. We even have we put out a couple years ago a book, a how to grow a Christmas tree, how to start a Christmas tree farm book that we can send you. We can get you set up to starting your farm for the future for sure.
Oh, great. And sorry, can I get you to repeat those last four numbers on your number there real quick?
Sure.
I'll
start at the beginning. 304-543-5379.
Great. I added it to the chat there. So, anybody on here looking to get a hold of Landon, got his number posted there. And he said check him out on Facebook. Let's see, does anybody have any questions for Landon, Dave, or Luke? Any questions about growing or getting started, how to get started? So I'll go ahead and throw out a question. I think something that keeps people from getting started is the thought of, all the capital that goes into, buying seedlings and caring for them in the early years there before they can start turning a profit. Do you have any advice that you would give to somebody getting started, how they, manage that, financially and how they can prepare for success?
I can speak a little bit if that's okay. You make a very good point. The one negative about starting a Christmas tree farm is a lot of people don't realize it takes about a foot a year to grow a Christmas tree. So, your average 6, 7, 8 foot Christmas trees, it takes that many years to grow one. So you're right. There isn't much revenue coming in while you're growing until you start selling. What a lot of people do is they get their farm established, they get their trees growing, and then they buy off other growers. They'll buy what you could say you can wholesale if you'd like, and buy some trees from other growers or other farms and set up almost like a retail lot at your farm. That gets people coming down to your farm, gets your name out there, gets your potential future customers coming actually to your farm and getting to know about your farm, and they can buy a pre-cut tree, and then you say, hey, here in a few years, we're going to have trees of our own, and you just get your name out like that. I think that is a very good way to get started on your farm, in your farm.
Awesome.
This is Luke. The question, what Landon was saying there, reminded me too of a story that Gene, my granddad, was just telling. Is he started small and planted in down near Princeton in Mercer County before he ever had the farm that we have now. And he mentioned that the first trees he planted were seedlings that had been used as packing material for a shipment of stock that another grower had used. And he said, well, Gene, you can have these. And So he planted those on a hillside. Those trees ended up on a hillside that then was taken by I think the Department of Highways for an interstate pass through. And when they came through, I believe he got paid $1 a tree for them having to take those out. And he said that was good money then. It was about it ended up being I think a couple thousand trees, and so a couple $1,000s that got him started. So I would say don't be afraid to start small too, and especially with the Growers Association, there's a lot of folks that can help you out.
I'll add one more thing if I could. To kind of go off what Luke was saying, your seedlings when you start out are relatively inexpensive from different nurseries and different farms. But also a great thing that we have here in this state is the Department of Forestry has their own tree nursery with hardwoods and Christmas trees as well. So through the Division of Forestry, they have very cheap seedlings, very cheap stock that you can plant and be able to get established. And the first few years of your farm, you really don't need much. You need some sort of a bar or a shovel to plant trees, and then it's just really mowing and keeping up with it, which everybody has a lawnmower or something. You don't have to have a lot of equipment. It's very minimal when you're starting out. It's very affordable. It's a nice little hobby to get into, and it can turn into a nice little business. Really, it really can.
That's fantastic advice from both of you. And here in the comments here, we've got Schrader Tree Farms. They mentioned that, like Landin was talking about earlier, that they had planted 400 trees and then bought 40 pre-cuts just to start networking, meeting some of their neighbors. So, definitely a good idea, a good option for somebody looking to get started and try to offset some of their costs there early on. See, anybody else got some questions here? All right, well, see, I believe it's up there right now, but I've got our slide with our business development division planning coordinators there. Give us a call, 304-558-2210 to get connected with your local coordinator. Anybody looking for assistance with their business development, market development, and finding contacts. Definitely don't be afraid to reach out. We'd love to help you. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and close up for tonight. Thanks for everybody for joining. Dave, Luke, Landin, we really appreciate y'all being here and talking about this. Anybody that has any questions that come after this, don't hesitate to reach out. Be glad to try to connect you and check out the YouTube, the West Virginia Department of Agriculture's YouTube page. We've got more homesteading videos on there, covered a lot of different topics, and this one will be on here probably within the next 24 to 48 hours, I'd say. So be on the lookout for that.
Thank you, Dane. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all.